Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. To continue my Halloween themed movie reviews. I guess this one's not really a Halloween type film, but it does have witches in it, so that's why I'm putting it in there. It's of course a classic 1939 classic, The Wizard of Oz. I'd be kind of remiss not to discuss this film in the 75th anniversary year, so that's why I'm cutting two birds with one stone and putting it in my Halloween themed movies, as well as discussing this film for the 75th anniversary. I haven't really discussed this film. With all the reviews I've done, I haven't discussed this one, so I'm remiss not to do it this year. Of course, those of you who don't know this movie, you gotta be either brain dead for the last 75 years or living in a barn or something. Not to know the premise of The Wizard of Oz. Of course, this is a movie that does star and made Judy Garland a star. Even though she did some movies in the Hardy movies, but this is a movie that became a breakout star with this film. It's also stars Ray Bowser and Burt Law, and I forgot to play Tim Winsman from my mind is drifting today. I don't know who played the Tim Winsman, but originally the Tim Winsman was supposed to be played by Buddy Epson, and the reason why he pulled out of the part was because he got allergic to the green makeup that was, or the silver makeup that was used for the Tin Man costume. So he developed an allergic reaction, so he had to pull out. Also, as well as Margaret. Damn, I forgot to play the one that played Wicked Witch too. But this movie is such a classic on so many levels, and of course the reason why I call it Halloween because actually of course it has witches in it. It has two witches. The Wicked Witch of the West. The Wicked Witch of the East was of course the one that was killed when Dorothy's house fell on. And of course the Wicked Witch of the North. Well, fortunately the Wicked Witch of the South got screwed, and that wasn't mentioned. Of course, the premise of this movie is based on the Frank L. Baum novel of the same name. And it became one of the most enduring movies of all time. Because I think at the time it wasn't that well received. The three characters who played the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Tin Man were all jealous of Judy Garland, who of course the top character of Dorothy. They were all jealous of her because she got top billing. The other three stores were already established stores already at that time, with Broadway and other films, and she got top billing over her. And she got the student motorcycle that's went by. She got all the publicity, and of course they were all jealous of her. They didn't treat her right and everything else. They were all jealous of her. And of course, and this movie was a little bit scary in certain parts of the film, so that's why I'm calling it as part of the Halloween films. Of course, this movie had some great special effects techniques that were novel at that time. And nowadays, if The Wizard of Oz was made in 2014 instead of the golden age of 1939, most of the special effects would be used by CGI. Like with the witch disappearing, where we see it gradually fade out and disappear instead of a puff of smoke. Or when the Good Witch, Glinda the Good Witch, came out with a fuzzer bubble in that form. They're bringing all CGI today. None of the motorcycle there. But in those days, I think I don't remember exactly which movie won the special effects for, but Wizard of Oz, the Oscar for best special effects. Either I don't even know if they even had an award yet for that time for Wizard of Oz or for Gone with the Wind. My sister thought the Wizard of Oz won the Oscar for Best Picture. I said no, it was in the same movie year as Gone with the Wind, and Gone with the Wind pretty much swept everything. So Wizard of Oz, I think it only won for best song for Over the Rainbow. And of course, what a lot of people don't know is that the movie was almost cut out. At the last minute, the song was put in, and it became not only a movie classic song, but a classic American song. Like I said, Judy Garland played, of course, the title character of Dorothy, and she got into trouble by the local bully, or the town bully, who was played by, was originally played by the Wicked Witch in the film. She threatened to kill Toto. She got an order to take Toto to kill him and put him down because the dog bit her. And of course, actually, Judy Garland then wanted the dog to be killed because the dog wouldn't normally bite anybody, but it bit her, and so of course she got mad and wanted the dog destroyed. But Toto escaped and went back to the house, and then, oh, you came back. And she decided to run away with the dog, and found Marvel, who, of course, in the movie, the guy who played Professor Marvel, he played like 6 or 7 different characters. If you look close, if you recognize the voice, you see he played the Wizard, like Marvel played the guardsman at the door when he got to Emerald City. He played a carriage driver. He played another doorman in Oz, and of course he played the Wizard himself. So he played about six different roles. And of course he made us a story to get her so that she would go back home. And of course she did. Of course she got caught in a tornado, what they call a twister. And of course she got knocked out by a window frame. I know I'm giving a lot of stuff away. And then of course when she wakes up, she ends up landing in the magical world of Oz, or actually a Munchkin land. So you have this whole thing with the Munchkins, and with of course the Wicked Witch of the East getting killed, and her sister, the Wicked Witch of the West, wanted revenge on Dorothy for killing her sister. Of course, she was obsessed with getting these ruby slippers, which Dorothy was now wearing, that her sister had. I don't know why those shoes ended up being on Dorothy's feet. It wasn't really properly explained in the film why those shoes are now on Dorothy's feet. And of course, the only person who could help her out was, of course, or Dorothy out, was the Wizard of Oz. So they told her to follow the old brick road. And on her way there, she meets the Scarecrow by Lorraine Bossier. Then she meets Tin Man. And then, of course, then she meets the Cowardly Lion by Burt Law, who spoke with a Brooklyn accent. I don't know what line speaks with a Brooklyn accent, but Burt Law did in the film. So of course for some reason they got all the loyalty to defend her from the witch. And each one of the three characters that Dorothy meets, they all were looking for something. Like the Scarecrow wanted a brain, the Tin Man wanted a heart, and of course the Cowardly Lion needed courage. And Dorothy needed something, she needed to go back home. And of course, big surprise, practically when she does get there, they had this big battle scene, in the witch's castle, which of course Dorothy ends up winning by throwing a cup of water to put out the fire that was on the Scarecrow's arm, and the leftover water hit the witch and she melted. That's how you defeat a witch, because it's so evil that water could melt her. And of course, another bit trivia, the reason why they were able to do that trick was the actor who played the witch was on a platform, and all they had to do is the reason why they created a puff of smoke so that the viewers would not see her going down on a trapdoor / platform, and she would go down. Well, the last trick at the end of the film, where she would have melted, they stapled the bottom of her witch's dress to the floor. So when they pulled the dress right off the witch, and she came down, and she was in her underwear when she came down the set into the, I guess, the basement or below the sound stage, and that's how they was able to do. That's how the producers of the movie was able to do that trick. And of course, the movie, of course, is also famous because it has. And I think other than Casablanca and maybe Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz has a ton of lines that everybody makes fun of. And of course, like the biggest one is "There's no place like home." There's more, and then of course you also have the line, "Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore." And of course, "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead." Of course, it was one of the songs as well. And of course, the classic line from the witch is, "I get you, my pretty, and your little dog too." Of course, a reference to Toto. But as the movie goes on, there are several, like I said earlier, there are several parts of the movie that are very, very scary. Like the part where Dorothy and the Scarecrow was running through the woods just before they meet the Tin Man. They found a bunch of apples, a bunch of apple trees, and of course, when the tree was actually talking, it was actually alive. Well, all trees are alive, but the tree is actually talks to her. And actually, one of Rebecca slaps Dorothy in the hand as she pull an apple off of this tree. And the voice uses, "How do you like somebody come along and pick something off of you?" Some things like that. And that whole scene after the Tin Man with the witch standing on the roof of the house and putting a ball of fire. That part was scary. And of course, the other scary sequence was when they were in the woods, or the haunted woods, going after to see the wizard, and you see this holographic image of this scary face, and that scene is also scary for little kids. And of course, the other scene that was scary is when they're actually going through the woods, and the witch sent her flying monkeys to the haunted forest to get Dorothy and her friends. And of course, the witch is, when she's by the windows, "Oh, fly, fly, fly!" You see all these flying monkeys going by, and then of course you see the attack, and that stuff was pretty scary stuff for little kids. I still get freaked out by it now, but to see that film with all the effects they had at the time, I mean, those were pretty good effects. And of course, all those time when Dorothy was in the witch's castle, that's also, and when she's trapped in the tower, and the witch is in the tower of this castle. You know, that stuff was kind of scary. And then final battle scene that I described when they're all getting chased by the guards, the witch's guards. I mean, all that stuff was really pretty scary and really quite effective for 1939. And one thing that sets The Wizard of Oz apart from a lot of the movies, especially in the Golden Age movies, because that 1939 was really tough for Oscar voters for which film to vote for, because you had Wizard of Oz, like I mentioned, it was up against Gone with the Wind, Bessie Smith Goes to Washington, Stagecoach, and I forgot what the fifth movie was. Now, you want to talk about an Oscar class, because usually most movies, and talking about recent years, usually have like maybe one or two good quality films to vote for. And so that's why in the last few years, the Oscars have become less and less predictable, because you pretty much guess what movie is going to win. Because you only have 5 good movies. Well, now, last couple of years, it's doubled to 10 movies. But for the last few years, and then in 1939, you had 5 so-called greatest movies of all time, all up against each other in the same movie year. So it's really, really tough to pick which one would be the best movie. Like Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Mrs. Smith Goes to Washington, Stagecoach, and I forgot the fifth one was. I know repeating the movies, but imagine those 5 movies or you have 10 quality movies like that today, you don't have that. Any of the movies today are really crappy, and you don't have quality movies like that today, unfortunately. And it's it's a real shame, but the Wizard of Oz is definitely the best, and it's one of the most overlooked films. People say, "Oh, how come they didn't win the Academy Award for Best Picture?" Well, because it was up against Gone with the Wind. And Gone with the Wind is just as good, if not better, than Wizard of Oz is. When you can argue Wizard of Oz is more like a fantasy type film. And of course, in those days, it didn't go for fantasy films like they do today, like they did with the Lord of the Rings movies. People went crazy over those films, and of course, the Harry Potter films and the Breaking Bad, the Twilight movies. Because now it's kind of all those fantasy films are becoming more and more accepted, even though they don't win very much in terms of Oscar awards. But Gone with the Wind is still a classic because knowing that because of the songs today and the lines, I mean, it's still the certain parts of the movie are still very, very funny. Like for example, the line where Scarecrow tells Dorothy that he needed a drink. And she says to him, how can you talk if you don't have a brain? And he says, well, I guess a lot of people who don't have brains do a lot of talking, don't they? And she goes, well, yeah, they do. Like the people in Washington, they don't have any brains at all. And let's ask Obama. That's a whole other tangent. But Gone with the Wind is still, excuse me, not Gone with the Wind. Wizard of Oz is still one of the greatest movies of all time, perhaps one of the greatest movie musicals of all time, and even though it's now 75 years later, it still holds up. Especially the great effect they had, and they had the beginning of the film and the very last scene of the film is in black and white, but the majority of the film is in color. So it goes from black and white to color, back to black and white. And big spoiler is the whole thing. There was all the stuff that was in color. That was all a dream, Dorothy's dream, when she was knocked out by the window frame in the tornado sequence. There's all, and I'm giving away the ending. But like I said, those of you who don't know this movie, or have seen this movie, you probably have been brain dead for the last 75 years. So that's kind of my tribute to the 75th anniversary of the Wizard of Oz. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you watch my other videos. Please click on, please rate it. Feel free to comment on. Please subscribe to my channel. And please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.